Hello, party people. It's your boy Dre, per usual, and it's my boy Ven, per usual.
His curmudgeon in crime.
No CIC?
I didn't feel like this particular time.
You know what? There's no time like the present.
Because I'm gonna put the Neo in your Geo, baby!
That's not what I wanted at all. Okay, fine. This show is over. Good night, everybody. Just kidding, we're back. Did we fool you? I think I made that joke on our first show when I just made it again. Wow, I'm already in reruns. We haven't even been around for a year and I'm already recycling jokes.
I don't think anyone will hold it against you this time.
Just this once.
All
right.
Once, yes.
All right. So, as promised, we are back with a beginner's guide to ACA Neo Geo, ACA being Arcade Archives, but literally it's listed as ACA on the shops, so that's what we're going to call it. You guys really responded well to our general Arcade Archives beginner's guide, and so we're doing it again, as we said we would, this time for Neo Geo. In the future, we probably will do another general Arcade Archives beginner's guide, volume 2, or whatever the fuck we decide it's called.
Yeah, there's plenty of material where that came from.
The Namco stuff coming out right now is crazy. Like we're gonna get all over that, but that's another topic. Here we're gonna do Neo Geo. A few guidelines before we start. We're gonna give you 20 games that we're gonna recommend here. This is not very comprehensive because only so many Neo Geo games are on ACA Neo Geo. Not every Neo Geo game is up there due to licensing reasons or other reasons. So this isn't super comprehensive, but just from what's available, this is what we're going to recommend.
Yeah, and as a bit of an aside, these games are available on your console of choice. So regardless of what you're playing on, you pretty much have access to these games.
Yeah, I think we have, I pretty much have all these on Switch. I think I probably have a couple on PS4/5 now, but
they pretty much run the same regardless of what you have it on.
Yeah, they're pretty much available on everything. Just like the standard Arcade Archives games, you can pick between Japanese or international. Often that means American versions. But unlike the other Arcade Archives games, this almost makes no difference when it comes to Neo Geo. It's pretty much just a glorified language setting.
Yeah, definitely. It's more of a language toggle than anything.
Right. Every Neo Geo game was mandated by SNK to have a how to play section. After you put in your credit and press start, the game shows you the controls with like visual component to go along with it. So it has like joystick and buttons, and it's the person on the screen is literally like doing the thing. So it's like very direct. That's actually a really smart thing that SNK did. Have you ever really thought about that before? I hadn't until now, but
no, I don't think so. Most games kind of just throw you in, right? But I think it was smart of them to do that. It also really helps that all Neo Geo games share the same button layout, so it's kept pretty simple, but it really helps having this visual aid. And also, on top of that, each Arcade Archives release has an extensive manual, so the manual will remind you about what the game's about, what the core mechanics involve, and what everything means on screen. So it really helps remove confusion.
Yeah, and you could also select the difficulty of every Neo Geo game, something else SNK mandated, smartly mandated. Unlike Arcade Archives, who are saying sometimes you can, most of the times you can't. It depends on the manufacturer.
Yeah.
Neo Geo's different. Every game has a selectable difficulty, level 1 through level 8. So take your pick.
You can really custom tailor to the experience to how you want it. And so far as Arcade Archives goes, as a bit of a reminder, by default there's a blur filter that's turned on, but you can turn it off. The important thing to note is that screen filter 00 doesn't mean that it's actually off. You actually have to move it over to off, but you can fiddle with all the screen display options too. Yeah,
there's like also like violence display or blood or, like things that arcade operators could do if this is at the laundromat. We can't have little Johnny looking at this bloody Metal Slug game, right? So they might want to turn off blood. You can change all those settings in any ACA Neo Geo game. One more thing before we get started that I wanted to mention is that we're going to skip the stuff everyone knows about. Y'all know about Metal Slug and King of Fighters, Samurai Showdown, and stuff. Like we're really not going to cover those. Just like in Arcade Archives, we're not going to tell you to go out and buy Pac-Man or something because that's just really stupid. So
it's slightly redundant.
It's very redundant, and also these days there's so many KOF and Metal Slug, and there's a big Samurai Showdown package, right, that came out last year.
Oh yeah, that one's super comprehensive, and it's cool, but that's a better value for your buck.
Yeah, these are $7.99 each, just like the other Arcade Archives games. So it's just dumb of us to recommend that when you can get a King of Fighters compilation for $3.99 or the Samurai Showdown one for $10 or something. So there's just we're going to skip that stuff. So those games aside, here are our 20 games that we're going to recommend to you. We didn't really know how to categorize these, so we just did it by genre. It's a bit lopsided, but I think it's going to work. So we're just going to start with fighting games because why not? It's what the system is known for better or worse, I guess.
There's plenty of those on the system, so we really had to comb through the list, but we think we've figured out some that are fairly accessible. And to kick things off, I think we really got to start with World Heroes Perfect.
I was afraid you were going to do the goddamn voice, but you did the voice. I guess we can't not do it.
It's pretty characteristic of the game at this point.
World Heroes is, how many are there? Is this World Heroes 2, World Heroes Jet? Is there a World Heroes Jet 2? I have no idea. But this is the final World Heroes game, World Heroes Perfect, as he flourished. It is kind of the perfect version of World Heroes. It's the mechanics are so fun and easy, and it makes like a great vehicle to enjoy the characters, which is what I really want from these kind of games. Like, and you have a really wild cast of characters. You got like a demonic football player with like the red eyes and the dark. I mean, I don't know how he has those eyes. Why is he a demon?
Where did he come from?
I hate to take a detour into maybe racism, but this game is full of it. His skin is like black, like the color black, not like a black man.
I thought he was actually just like had like football armor. He wasn't necessarily a person inside. Like maybe he is. I don't know. I
feel like those were arms and muscles that were like black. Anyway, speaking of offending everybody, there's a robot Hitler. That's great. Who has like, I guess he's also part-time Inspector Gadget.
He's got very stretchable limbs, right?
And there's I don't know how else to say it, a very gay stereotype Rasputin, which I think nowadays would be considered offensive. In fact, I will go ahead and say that it is. However, 1994, everybody. So whatever, I guess. But it's something all right.
He'll take you for a ride. I think he has a secret garden move. He's very flamboyant. When he wins, his sort of skirt lifts up and he like holds it down.
Just think about that. The fact that Vin just had skirt and like Rasputin in the same sentence. I mean, I think that's all. I think that's all you need to know about this.
And he's bearded. He might be a pastiche of hippies. That's a rabbit hole.
All right, I think we should move on from Rasputin.
The game is cool, though. It really presents a fundamentals first experience, right? And the moves are pretty easy to understand. The power meter is also really clear. And one thing that I thought was pretty cool is that when the meter is full, some of your special moves just turn into supers. So it's like you don't have to memorize that much. And I think that keeps it really basic.
It's pretty good stuff. So World Heroes Perfect, definite recommendation from us. Vin, next one.
We've got Real Bout Fatal Fury 2. There's a lot of Fatal Fury games, but this one is notable because it really showcases the Neo Geo strengths. It has large-scale sprites. The UI is super, super bold. It always has, like, giant text everywhere. But the game itself is really approachable. It does have 22 characters, so that's pretty extensive, but
that's control a lot scheme for Fatal Fury, man.
It is, but keeping in mind that there's a lot of these Fatal Fury games, right? Like they had to build up to that point. But yeah, it has a lot of old favorites like Terry. Everybody knows who Terry is. It has some oddballs in there too that don't really show up in many other games. But what I really, really like about this is that you really have 3 attack buttons, right? You have punch, kick, and like a powerful attack button. So you really just have to focus on these 3. There is a lane change button that you can press that does like other things, but you don't need to worry about it. You can add it into your flow like as you learn the game. Like it's not like mandatory. And Another thing is that the Arcade Archives release has a pretty extensive move list, so you can always refer to things if as need be. And in general, it doesn't get too crazy, man. It's really easy to know and figure out what's going on.
Okay, one that both of us really like a lot, and I think other people do too, because it's probably one of the more well-known games in Neo Geo, which is Last Blade 2. It has this like really classy and classic Japanese feudal Japan, if you will, presentation. Like,
Absolutely.
I don't know, maybe, I don't know, is feudal the right word? Maybe it's more like 1800s, whatever it is.
I believe it's centuries after Samurai Showdown, if I'm not totally mistaken.
I don't
not
know
that
when
they
the fuck that takes place. I have no idea what that's.
We're just
what Samurai Showdown is.
We're just throwing centuries out there. It's somewhere in space after the fact.
It happens in the past.
It's somewhere in the past.
It has this presentation that's really nice and feels like cinematic. I really don't like to use that word because I think it's overused, but I think in this case it is really warranted.
Well, the cutscenes are letterboxed. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels a little stiff at first, but it's pretty deep and approachable. If you give it a few games, give it a few matches, I think you will get into it.
I agree. The mechanics are pretty straightforward. You pick your character and you pick either power or speed, and they have different benefits or whatever. But if you want to keep things simple, you could just choose power style, and then ultimately you don't have to worry about too many combos or button presses, right? And everything this game is super impactful and easy to keep track of. And the layout is really simple. You have 3 attack buttons and you have a deflect button, and that's all you really need to worry about.
Yeah, I never really thought about this either, but the fact that Neo Geo only has the 4 buttons, A, B, C, D, it forces people to keep shit simple.
Mm-hmm.
I know that sounds like no shit, but like I just now had that thought.
And some games try to get crazy with it by making you press 2 buttons at the same time, but you really don't need to worry about that as much in this.
You can do that in World Heroes Perfect, but it's not really, you know what I mean? It's not really that big a deal.
No.
But yeah, Last Blade 2, absolute classy fighting game. One more fighting game that we both like is called Kizuna Encounter. It's like a 2-on-2 tag team battle game, but it's like really easy to get the hang of and has this like nice gritty anime style that I really enjoy. Like you have this lady with like, I don't know, wearing a crop top and she has this big sword or something like that. I like her. There's all sorts of weird characters in this. I like the little cyber zone that you could like swap characters in and out of. I don't know why it's like a little zone, but I enjoy that.
I like the zone though, because the zone basically makes it so that you can't tag at any given time. So in some other games where you can tag, it's like you get tagged at any point, so it gets very crazy. But this is very focused, right?
Yeah, it forces you to like. It forces a positioning game that I think is not really seen in games like this, especially of the time. So,
right.
Yeah, Kizuna Encounter is a definite thumbs up from us.
Yeah, I really like the layout in this one too. Like, if you press forward with any of the attack buttons, it gets like a strong move out of it. So you can just like really press buttons and have a good time. You don't have to worry about overly complex things. You just press the buttons.
Just press the buttons, people. Just press the buttons. So to recap, those are the 4 fighting games we're recommending. World Heroes Perfect, Real Bout Fatal Fury 2, Last Blade 2, and Kizuna Encounter. So let's go to some like action / run and gun / beat 'em up kind of, I don't know. This is kind of a grab bag of just action games. I guess you could just put the label on.
Action games that scroll?
Action games that scroll. Do all of them scroll? Yeah, I guess they do.
I think so, yeah.
So the first one I want to recommend here is something called Cyberlip. It's a run and gun. If you don't know what that is, think Contra or, something like that. Literally run and gun, forward scrolling, and enemies coming from left or right.
What about Metal Slug?
Oh, I guess so, right? We're not talking about that today, remember? We're
yeah.
Yeah,
right.
Don't remember Metal Slug. I like Cyberlip because it dives into its like futurism head on. I think this game came out in 1990. It's like an early game for Neo Geo, so it's like it's one of those games that I feel really defines the early years of the system and why that hardware was so exciting at the time. That doesn't mean anything to you right now in the year of our Lord 2022, but just it's an aesthetic that's completely of its time in a great way. It also has a really great ending, which I'm not going to spoil for you, but it is.
You can't spoil that.
It is excellent.
But it's been decades after the fact. It's fine, right? Just kidding.
They'll have to spend $7.99 to find out. Trust me, it's worth it.
Yeah, I like Cyberlip. It's a pretty straightforward experience. You pretty much know what to expect if you've done any sort of run and gun before, and everything feels natural in this game. Ultimately, it's not overly complicated. You do switch power ups pretty brisk, but it's very clear what you're doing. It's never like hard to read, right? So I mean. Like it has a weird name, but it's pretty fundamentally solid.
Yeah, don't ask us why it's called Cyberlip. I mean, I have no idea, but
it took inspiration from late 80s material.
Oh, you think? And late 80s video games. Okay, this might be the game we're about to talk about right now. This might be maybe one of my top 3 favorite games on Neo Geo, and it's called Spinmaster. I think it's one of the more underrated games of any kind. I was going to say of its kind, but honestly, any type. This should honestly be regarded as a masterpiece. Sorry for the hyperbole, but I honestly feel that way. It is a pitch-perfect action platformer by Data East. Like, you could see the DNA of Joe and Mac in here. I don't know if you
Absolutely.
can, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like fully realized now with the Neo Geo. What Data East did on this hardware, if you don't know, they made Windjammers, my favorite Neo Geo game of all time. You know, they have that DNA in here, and they just, I don't know, they took to the Neo Geo so well. It has this very excellently realized action. You have a yo-yo. I think you can get other weapons too, but like that start out with. Maybe it gave me those Rygar disc armor vibes or something, but like, I don't know.
never thought about that, actually.
But just great locations, just fun graphics, an absolute must buy. If you're going to pick any game that we talk about here today, it should be Spinmaster.
I totally agree with that, actually. It's really easy to pick up and play. And another thing that's really interesting is that it's perfect for 2-player simultaneous action, right? And I think once upon a time, we actually did it on Dre's Switch during a Black Friday, I think.
We were waiting outside a Target, I think. And remember the kid was looking over my shoulder. I was playing Skyrim, and I was like, yo, a kid has watched me play this. I should probably turn this off. So we started playing Spinmaster.
It's slightly more family friendly than Skyrim.
Yeah, it's just a little bit. But yeah, do you feel the same about Spinmaster? I have nothing but the highest praise.
I also have a lot of praise for this as well. I totally agree with everything you've said. And I really appreciate how responsive this game is. It moves at a fluid pace. And everything is really easy to understand. You're not going to question what like a bomb or like a punching glove does. Like, it's immediately understandable, right? And you feel really powerful this whole time. Like, even though you love, like you have a yo-yo, as you acquire power-ups, you really could trounce things quickly, but it's balanced, right? It's not
It's very balanced. It never feels cheap. Honestly, if you're an experienced gamer, you could probably beat this game in a few credits.
Oh yeah.
It's really not that tough. Like, as far as arcade games go anyway. Like, you can really get a handle on this game and feel like a Spin Master.
It lives up to the name.
All right, so absolute recommendation from us. Next one we got here is Ninja Combat. This was I'll call it a bowling alley favorite of mine because I used to do bowling every Saturday morning, and our bowling alley had a pretty good arcade. That's where I first played the Neo Geo. Right, because they had one. Their arcade was like actually pretty baller. So like, I played a lot of Ninja Combat after bowling. So man, that's not why I'm recommending it. You guys know I don't do the nostalgia thing, but
yeah, we don't do nostalgia.
Yeah, it's a bit goofy, and it's like kind of stiff as a beat 'em up Ninja Combat, but there's a certain quality to it. You pummel the guys with like projectiles instead of like your fists. You kind of just throw ninja stars real quick, and they just kind of
yeah.
It's kind of weird, but it's also like unique, and it has hilarious voice acting. Like when you rescue that girl, did you get that far? She was like, "I was testing your power." Like, it's like so crazy. It's like, oh my god.
Why is this coming out?
Is that really what they're putting in the game? I know it was like 30 years ago. Even at the time, I thought it was funny. And that was when you didn't think voice acting was funny.
Yeah, it has to be kind of wacky for you actually to make note of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I really like Ninja Combat. I think the walk cycle is really goofy.
Yeah,
like I don't know what's going on there.
Your upper torso doesn't move, right? It's like
no, I don't think so.
It's like hella stupid.
But I really do like this. As you say, you throw a shuriken, but they actually have like a bit of a spread shot action to them. So like you can really like press the button and go places pretty quickly. And so in other words, you don't have to be like too precise, right? Since it like
no, you just kind of just like any beat 'em up, you need to get on their plane to shoot ninja stars at them, which makes it sort of like a quote unquote safe move.
Just shoot ninja stars at them.
Just shoot ninja stars at them. Yeah, that's a sentence
that's good life advice.
Yeah, get on their plane and shoot ninja stars at them.
That's how you solve life problems. You shoot ninja stars.
It solves them in this game, I'll tell you that much. All right, next game, another one of my personal favorites is Magician Lord. I think this is a launch game for Neo Geo. I think that's how old this is. Yeah. It's a fun exploratory action platformer. Like you're a wizard who can like sometimes turn into a dragon. Or a cyber monk. Did you ever get the cyber monk? That was weird.
No, I did not. But the game shows you some of these transformations right from the get-go, so you kind of know what to expect.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but it's really great. It has great music too. Awesomely bad voice acting once again from our like Dracula villain or whatever he's supposed to be.
I have no idea what this guy is supposed to be. He seems like a caricature of something.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I go Dracula because of like the cape, like the collar thing.
Sure, I guess, yeah.
Such imprudence, you will meet your death, or whatever he says.
I'm threatened.
Very approachable action platforming, just a great game, great aesthetic, excellent, just excellent stuff here.
Yeah, it's really, to me, it's spectacle simplified. There's not too much there's not too many actions you can do. It's really just like firing and jumping. And when you aim, it's really just like 4 directions, right? So it really focuses like what you can do. And
I don't think you can shoot down even. I think you just shoot left, right, and up. I
think you can shoot down if you jump.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh, you can shoot down if you're the ninja.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sure. But in general speaking, these transformations are never too crazy. But you feel like a badass when you're actually like transforming to other things. And as you're progressing through the stages, everything is clearly presented in front of you. Nothing ever feels cheap. And but one of there's a running joke between you and me is that when you design things, you punish impatience, and this game will punish you if you get too impatient.
Yeah. No, you better not that you have to creepy crawl the whole game, but if you get impatient, you will die real fast. So you better play by the game's rules. You know what I mean? Like you will get taken out pretty quick.
You can continue right from where you got taken out, so it's not too bad. Like it's not too punishing, right? No, assuming you want to put your virtual credits in there.
Yeah, but when you only have like 75 cents after bowling, then you better make that shit count. I don't know why I keep going out to bowling. I'm sorry. I don't know why I keep my mind is at the bowling alley today. Okay, couple more here in this category. One of them is Shock Troopers. Then you take the floor here.
I love Shock Troopers. It's a must-have top-down romp. It's foundationally solid, and again, like I keep saying it over and over again, but everything's really clearly visible. Like enemies will parachute down, so they won't like they'll have that cool like scaling effect as they like, pop into view, and nothing ever like cheaply appears on the screen and just punks you. And there's a solid rhythm to this game. All the actions are natural and responsive. You can get up close to them and knife them if you want to, but you don't have to. And what I really, really love about this is like you can strafe just by holding the button down. So like you can really aim your fire, and it's not too hard to do. Like sometimes like these games get a little weird with aiming, but this actually controls very, very well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if anyone else is listening to this that's old enough to remember the old SNK pre-Neo Geo rotary sticks that you would have in like Ikari Warriors and like other games where you turn your character by turning the joystick. If anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, yes, it's as awkward as it sounds. But yeah, just this game, you just hold the button down and you face that direction. I agree with everything you said. Shock Troopers is an absolute classic. It's my personal favorite top-down shooter, probably of all time.
Mine
it does
too.
Everything correct. I remember the first time I ever played this game, I picked Big Mom. I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. Just a lot of fun, Shock Troopers. One more here, Mutation Nation, which I had played before, but I guess Vin hadn't until we did this.
Yeah, I didn't do this until the ACA Neo Geo release, and we did a run through together, and it's wild, man. It doesn't make like any sense, but fundamentally, it's just a basic beat 'em up. It just has a dose of insanity on top of it.
Is there another decade where you can get away with calling a game Mutation Nation?
Oh, hell no. Oh, no way. It's not possible.
Because I don't even think you can do that in the 80s. I feel like that is strictly a 90s thing. Mutation Nation.
You think it's 90s environmentalism?
Yes, of course.
It's because you pick up things in this game. I think there's like A, B, and C, and like it like gives you like moves, I guess, and you can hold the button down to unleash full screen shenanigans that make like zero sense. But
they don't make
it's
dick for sense.
It clears the screen, so it's badass, right?
Well, that's all I cared about when I put in my quarter. I got the spectacle I needed. Honestly, Mutation Nation, probably the best beat 'em up on the system of a system that doesn't really have a whole lot of them. You'd be surprised, but you know, Neo Geo only has like a few, and this is the best of that bunch. So to recap this section of action, run and gun / I guess beat 'em up, whatever. There's Cyberlip, Spinmaster, Ninja Combat, Magician Lord, Shock Troopers, and Mutation Nation. Of course, I probably should have said this at the beginning. We're going to list all these in the description of this podcast, so you won't have to just listen back through this and say, what was that game again? We're going to list them all.
Yeah, for your convenience.
So, a couple of puzzle games to recommend. This one you've probably heard of, but probably not this version, and it is Puzzle Bobble. Or to be more precise, Puzzle Bobble 2. You probably know this game as Bust a Move, as it was originally called in the United States. Ever since then, has reverted back to its international name, Puzzle Bobble. Because, you know, Bubble Bobble, Puzzle Bobble, it's a pun.
Yeah, it is. That's the joke, yes.
Yeah. So the reason why I wanted to mention this game, even though it's something probably everyone has heard of, is, like I said, not a whole lot of people know this is originated on Neo Geo. Like, so if you've ever enjoyed any other version of this game before, whether it's, I guess, PlayStation 1 or Saturn, was there a Super Nintendo Bust a Move? I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure there was a port of the original. I don't remember about 2, but...
Okay.
I played a PS1 version of Bust a Move too.
Save for buying a very expensive mini console that we may have done a 2-part episode on earlier this year, this is the absolute best way to get your Puzzle Bobble, or Bust a Move, if you will, fix, I think.
It's a really good version of the game. Well, it is arcade perfect after all. And the game is legendary, right? It can't be overstated how seamless and wonderful it is to play. The early stages really show you the ropes. They're not too complicated in terms of matching colors on the screen by firing at them. And in overall, like, there's a lot of room to like learn this. It's not a pushover as a whole, but it really has a gradual ramp up, so it doesn't like kick your ass, right?
No, it starts out real easy and gets tougher kind of fast because it's an arcade game. They want that quarter, right? But
sure, yeah.
You know, it's not crazy. And yeah, so if you somehow have never played Puzzle Bobble / Bust a Move before, here you go, Puzzle Bobble 2. All right. One of our personal favorites, probably, would you say our favorite puzzle game on Neo Geo, hands down?
Oh yeah.
Would be Money Puzzle Exchanger. This is an underrated gem right here. This is a puzzle game where it's just what it sounds like. You're exchanging money. It's yen coins on the screen, 1, 5, 10, 50, 100, and you got to match them. 5 ones make a 5 yen coin, 2 5s make a 10 yen coin, 5 10s make a 50 yen coin, and you know you got to keep stacking them up to make them disappear. If you ever played something like other match threes, like a magical drop or something, it's like that, but a bit more complicated. I tend to get a little bored, and I think you do too, of like the magical drop style, just match the 3 colors. This is deeper than that, but not complicated, and it gives you just enough of a twist.
At first, these icons seem kind of crazy, but the game really shows different ways of easing you in. For instance, when you actually like grab an icon, the matching icons will flash on screen so you know what to pair it up with, right? And also like figuring out how they combine is really not too hard. Like if you just kind of look at like the ones in the 5s and like if you just study for like a little bit, it makes sense very quickly, right? Because I don't know how yen coins combine, and
it's just number. I mean, we're just adding numbers, but it's just like you don't really have to do the math. You're just looking at the color. All the yen coins are different colors too. So you can like if you just want to go by color, you can. You just have to remember that 5 of these equals this or 2 of that equals this. It's not just a match 3 or a match 4 game or anything.
That's what
makes the game really great.
And what also really works is that you don't have to literally match them up in a line, whereas in Magical Drop, everything better damn well be in the same column, but in this game, icons just have to be adjacent, so then once like they're adjacent, they'll like combine or whatever, right? They'll be exchanged, as it were.
And if you get a combo, you'll hear a wonderful lady go, oh, you're so much better. You were a better anime lady than me, Vin.
Yes.
Was that
the 90s are in me, baby? I don't know if I should be proud of that.
Yeah, you should. You really should. Speak of anime ladies, just a colorful cast of them. It's very 1997 as fuck. So if you like that aesthetic, especially in a puzzle game, you will like this. Money Puzzle Exchanger is great.
Yeah, it's also kind of wild as it's called Money Idol Exchanger in Japan, and there's idols everywhere in this game.
Yeah. So, I think for us, they made the right move. It's like idol, the fuck? So, yeah.
We would have been bamboozled.
I would have been really bamboozled by that. So, to recap, our 2 puzzle games that we recommend are Puzzle Bobble 2 and Money Puzzle Exchanger. We have a couple of sports racing games. Well, I guess 1 sports game and 1 racing game. I guess racing is a sport. I guess, even though sometimes you don't think about it that way.
They're both sports.
So one of them is called Overtop. This is kind of just like the name implies. It is top-down racing, almost like if you played anything like Super Off-Road or Super Sprint or Spy Hunter or something. It's that top-down racing. It is really great. It's rally racing top down, which is very unusual, but honestly it works. It's like, just like rally racing, it's like, oh, here's this kind of turn coming up next, and then you react to it. It's really simple, but honestly there's something very satisfying about this game, I find.
It's super satisfying and easy to read. There's a mini map in the upper left that shows you what's coming up, but there's also a giant arrow that flashes on screen when there's a turn coming up. And let's say you bungle the turn and you make an epic crash like I often do. You can still catch up. There's plenty of ways to actually keep yourself in the game. And even if you're not the most experienced racing player, you can play off of a single credit for a while. Mm-hmm. And what's really nice about this game is that the checkpoints are relatively frequent, and the timer that counts down before your race ends, you have a lot of seconds, right? Like you have plenty of room to wiggle around with and crash into walls with. Wait, what?
What? Who said that?
I didn't say none.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
But yeah, it's a really accessible game, and I would dare say a lot more accessible than many other racing games out there.
Yeah, and the unique perspective really just sets it apart. Okay, again, we were talking about top 3 Neo Geo games. This is definitely one of mine, and it's called Big Tournament Golf. You may have never heard of this game before, but you probably have under the name Neo Turf Masters. Shortly before we recorded this, we found out that the name got changed in the US to Big Tournament Golf, which is also the name of the Japanese version, because I don't know who the PGA, someone got bitchy about the word Masters. in their name. I guess they thought because, the Masters, the golf tournament. This game was called Neo Turf Masters. I never really equated those things. But
I never did either. No way.
Yeah, so we just found out that's the reason why the name changed. So if you've ever heard of the legendary Neo Turf Masters before, just know that Big Tournament Golf is the same thing.
The Neo Turf Masters, aka a PGA sponsored game about the Masters tournament.
Oh man. Yeah.
That's weird. This is weird, man. But yeah, just like staring at the Switch, I'm like, wait, my save says Neo Turf Masters, but it morphed.
Yeah, see, mine said Big Tournament Golf for a while now, so I don't know. I guess I just never took notice. But yeah. Anyway, let's not mince words. This is the best golf game of all time.
Oh, yeah.
It's my favorite arcade sports game, I would say, of all time. That includes whatever you can name. NBA Jam, NFL Blitz. For me, Neo Turf Masters, or I'm sorry, now Big Tournament Golf, was my absolute favorite. It's truly perfect. I mean, I don't really want to sit here and explain golf to you, but like, honestly, it's just great. The difficulty can get high, but I like that it's like not a straight up boring sim either. Like the courses can get kind of wacky too. Not like Hot Shots Golf wacky, but they can get very strange in a good way.
I vaguely remember when we played some years ago that I think we had to traverse islands or something. I mean, it wasn't too over the top, but and it took us a while to get there too. Like the courses in general make sense, and they're never too intimidating, right? At least I don't think any of the course design's like unfair.
I don't feel so.
Everything's super readable and colorful in this game too, and you don't have to really take the club into consideration too much because the game automatically selects the club for you, like the one that it thinks will work well for you. So I mean, like, honestly, yeah, it becomes kind of just a matter of focusing on the timing and the direction, and it's a really easy to pick up and play game.
Great music too. Just excellent stuff. Can't go wrong. Once again, like tip-top recommendation here. I would speak for both of us when I say that.
Yes, indeed.
So to recap, just like I said, Big Tournament Golf and Overtop. I almost said Over the Top.
Over the Top. I mean, either way, I've never made that correlation with top-down racing.
Over the Top. Yes. Okay. As usual, because it's the 90s and it's the arcade, we got 4 shmups here for you to recommend. And we had to really narrow these down.
Oh my god, there was a lot of back and forth on this one. For sure.
But we decided on 4 that I think will go over well with just about any crowd. One of them is Aero Fighters 3. Like, I really love this game because the locales are just spot on. They give you the right details of each place, whether it's like, oh, that's the Eiffel Tower. Oh, that's whatever, right? And it might have the best shmup boss song of all time.
You know, I don't know what it's actually saying, but there's some vocal sample of some sort that
I
is
think
repeated.
It's, hey, you idiot, something, or they will be waiting. Show me what you got. Show me what you got. And it just repeats forever. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I know the first part is,
that.
hey, you idiot. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, it's like this drum and bass masterpiece with a crazy vocal sample that you will just I heard that thing over the din of the arcade so many times. I'm like, what is the God? Like I heard it like wherever I was. If someone was playing Aero Fighters 3, I heard that shit. I was like, what is that? But
apparently I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, imagine it had like something is just the right pitch to pierce through the din of the arcade. You know you did your job.
That's what you're supposed to do with an arcade game.
There isn't a whole lot to say about this one. It's just a great shmup. It's just excellent. I love shmups where they don't futz around too much with power-ups. You just get power and bomb. You don't have to get, here's the fire attack, here's a late. Fuck all that. Just get power-ups and get the bombs. That's it.
Yeah, all you have to do is focus on your ship selection. I mean, there's 10 ships, and that selection really dictates what you're going to be firing with, right? After that, all you have to really do is focus on firing and dodging, and then like timing your usual bomb button or whatever, right? But like, it also, what I really love about this game is that it eases you in. And even though the enemy firepower moves pretty quickly, like things are spaced apart well, there's plenty of room to move around, and it's never unfair. And yeah, even if you do get kind of like messed up, you can continue as much as you want too.
Yeah, that's a good thing to remember. I know it sounds like a no shit thing to say, but like you can just dump quarters into pretty much any of these games, your fake quarters all you want. So like even if something's pretty tough for you, just credit spam through it. Who gives a shit? Yeah,
There's no shame in that.
They're all fake quarters. It's not coming out of your pocket. You already paid your $7.99 to play forever.
yes, you did. You'll get your money's worth.
Absolutely. Especially if you get Aero Fighters 3 or if you get this next one called Zed Blade.
Oh my god.
Zed Blade, man. This is man, you like the 90s? You like 90s techno, everybody? Oh boy. This game will give it to you, but they're really big sprites and like really big bullets that don't travel fast. So like if you find other shmups intimidating because it's like too bullet hell or it's just like it's too confusing for you, this is like you won't lose track of them in this one in Zed Blade. It's visually pleasing in a way that you don't typically see from this system. Not that Neo Geo games look like crap. It's just that like this particular Zed Blade it has the big sprites to match its bombacity. It's a very cool game.
That's a great way of putting it. And like there's a certain sort of starkness to this game. Like there's a very prevalent sort of black outline to like everything. And it's very contrasty, so it's easy to read. And you'll also know where the enemies are because of that. And right before we started this show, we were chitty-chatting about that intro song, which is really crazy.
It's like, man, it sounds like, I don't know, Too Unlimited, or what's that song by Snap?
Too Unlimited!
Or Rhythm as a Dancer? It sounds like that or something like that. You know, like it is the 90s, baby. Like
I think the very first stage song's got shouts of woo or whatever. It's like what is this doing?
It's just like oh man, they give it to you. If you were not alive in the 90s and you wanted to know what it was like, you should play Zed Blade.
That's a good summary of the 90s. Yes, I agree.
So we have a couple more shmups here, and they're connected in a way. I guess you could say one's a sequel of the other, even though they're totally different. But we'll start with the first one called Pulstar. Man, this is a toughie. This might be the toughest game we recommend here, just to be forewarned. So if you're a complete beginner, you're going to have some trouble with this. If you are any sort of experienced player, though, Pulstar is one of the best shmups, or maybe the best shmup you can play on this system. It's R-Type E. It's methodical, but it moves slow, and your ship moves slow as well.
Yeah.
But man, the music, the pre-rendered graphics. Oh, best Neo Geo intro.
Oh yeah,
the girl running
super
down the hallway. I mean,
profile view. Yeah.
Yo, man, you didn't even see that stuff on like CD systems at the time. That was crazy.
It was super crazy. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Might be my favorite Neo Geo soundtrack as well, personally.
Oh,
Pulstar. Yeah. You agree? Wow.
It's up there. It's really striking, and in general speaking, even though this game can be kind of punishing, I think what's really good about it is just how familiar it'll feel if you played any sort of shoot 'em up before. And the weapons and power-ups are relatively straightforward, and it's learnable and fair. I think that's the most important part to me. And again, there's no shame in like continuing. It is loop based, so if you do die, you do have to go back a bit. But in general speaking, I think with persistence, anybody can eventually take this out. It's not an unfair game.
Yeah, I just love that pre-rendered era of shmups. Like it's just this game being one of them. It's just it looks so great. The aesthetic and feel of this game is top notch. Like even though I hadn't played it in a very long time before it came out on ACA Neo Geo again, I never forgot it. The way that I was like, oh man, something about this game, Pulstar, is just the best to me. It nails the audio, visual, gameplay. You know, all those things come together to create something pretty special in this one.
I agree.
Just excellent stuff. But then there was a sequel of sorts called Blazing Star. I guess it's a sequel.
I mean, Is it even a spiritual sequel? It's really tenuous, but
it has the same font. Okay, it's a sequel. It has the same font.
Sure, I guess that's the best link we got, because this game is almost the opposite of Pulstar. It's got extremely over the top firepower. It's less methodical, and really, to me, it's this big guilty pleasure blaster through and through. And ultimately, it's still pretty simple in that you really just have to focus on whether you're doing like rapid fire or charge shots, but like the type of firepower is just dictated by your ship. I think you have like 6 ships or like whatever. And the thing about this game is weird is that the pickups don't really make that much sense. I think you're like picking up like letters that spell out lucky. I don't know why lucky, but I mean, you don't actually have to worry about the pickups to have a good time. And it's weird, man.
Neo Geo games are known for their bad English. If you like that stuff as we do, Blazing Star is a feast. Like the writing in this game makes no sense by any grammatical conclusion anyone can come to.
It doesn't make any sense. I think when you die, it has some like "Hey you" something text. I don't remember
it's like, "Hey you, we've just not begun to something." I don't know. It's really weird.
It's weird. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And words are all over the screen at any point. They are like before bosses appear, after you beat bosses, like they are talking to you. It's something.
Trying to talk to you.
Trying to. It would be like if I did Japanese text for a game at this point with my crappy, like very intermediate Japanese.
You can hit up the pod in a few years with your expertise.
No, I should not. You know what? It's probably English and Japanese too. It's probably in the Japanese version.
Oh, it's gotta be. Gotta be.
Anyway, but it's Blazing Star and Pulstar are great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We got 2 more games for you. We didn't really know how to categorize these, so they're just here together. I'm sorry. One of them is Cross Swords, which is something very unusual for not just Neo Geo, but the arcade in general. It's a first-person action role-playing game at the arcade. What the fuck?
The fuck?
As I've talked about before, I really like Western fantasy through the lens of like Japanese artistry. I love that shit. And like, you know, our swords, magic, imps, kobolds, skeletons, all that shit.
I love the word kobold every single time.
Yeah, they love. Well, so do they, right? Because they're in all their, you know, they use that a lot. But if you like that stuff, this game is a feast. It's very interesting, you know, slash, block, dodge mechanics, excellent sound design. I think you can attest to that.
Dude, I love the sound design. When you're like whomping on enemies, they make little grunts like, oh, or something. I'm like, I guess that's the sound you make if you're stabbed, I guess.
I like the kobolds that,
Kobolds indeed. I really like this game. It does a good job of empowering the player. Even early on, you don't have to like worry too much. You can mow down enemies with relative ease, and it like drills the basics into you. It really teaches you to block then strike, and like I like saved some rando, and he's like, I am here to tell you to block and then strike. And I'm like, why are you telling me this?
From the worm boss, right? I think like that first boss, he's like,
why are you telling me this? I think I know how to play the game, maybe.
Well, I just beat the first boss, asshole. Like, I mean, I know what I'm doing. Jeez.
Yeah, it's like ridiculous, but the blocking is pretty straightforward. It's really just up or down, and then you kind of look at the enemy's visual tells. So like if they're jumping up or if they got their arms raised, you block high. Or like otherwise, if they're about to stab your midsection, you block low. So I mean, like I'm not the best at doing it, but like you know you fucked up, right? You know when you like got stabbed, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels fair, and it's just like I said, the sound design is great. It's just a very unusual game. There's honestly nothing like it, unless you want to go to like, you know, King's Field or something, which is like not arcadey at all.
That's completely different. Yeah.
I don't know why. I feel like every other podcast I mention King's Field. I feel like I mentioned this game a lot.
I think it's latent sort of annoyance at how kids just know about Souls games.
Yeah, that's got to be. I don't know. Maybe that's part of it, or maybe just Kingsfield made a weird impression on me.
You're from software hipsters, what you are.
Yeah, I am. I totally am. Armored Core, Lost Kingdoms, I totally am.
Well, Elden Core will rope you back in.
You know what game I forgot about? Eternal, because I was thinking of Eternal Ring, because I remember when Elden Ring was unveiled, I thought it was a sequel to Eternal Ring, and I'm the only one who thought that. I forgot there was Evergrace as well. Remember Evergrace?
It was a launch PS2 game, right?
Yeah, and then there was a sequel, but it wasn't called Evergrace 2 here. It's called something else. Anyway, that has nothing to do with Neo Geo. I'm sorry. We have one more game. We have one more game here, which is called Sengoku. I'm going to be upfront about Sengoku. There are better beat-em-ups available for Neo Geo, okay? The reason why we're recommending Sengoku is that it is one of the most batshit insane, bizarre games you will ever play.
He's not exaggerating.
Crazy.
It's a fever dream, and like I guess it's technically a beat 'em up, but what actually happens is like really off the wall. Like,
so like you start on a highway, right? A ruined highway, like post-apocalyptic. You punch a few guys, then a column appears, whoosh, and like whooshes you somewhere else, and you're like in feudal Japan. All of a sudden, it's like, whoa.
Sometimes you're like in the sky, like I think you're on clouds sometimes.
Yeah,
like,
you fight those like sky monks, and then like you know what's really makes this? Yeah, they are. And then you know what really makes this game weird? Whenever you like have a sword or any other slashing weapon, you slash the guys, and you have this ephemeral like sort of slash mark that comes out of them of like their soul or something. It's like
flames that come out, like soul flames. Yeah, they like erupt out of their body. Yeah,
and I thought that was like the coolest effect when I was a kid. I still think it's cool now. What am I saying?
You're telling me if I don't slash you, ethereal flames won't come out of your body?
as I like y-axis melt into the ground or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
it's scaling. That's right. Random scaling.
It's so weird.
For some reason, sometimes when you have certain power-ups, you can send projectiles out of your hands or your sword, and sometimes you can transform into other things with a limited timer. I don't really know why you can do that, but I guess it's cool.
That's all it was. It was a spectacle. Like I said, I still think that spectacle is worth experiencing today. Like, could you say, like, I don't know, Robo Army or 8-Man or, like, better Neo Geo beat 'em up? Sure. Nothing is like Sengoku. You will never forget playing this game.
Yeah, and the funny part is, it's actually more notable than its sequels, too. Like, this is, like, the trippiest of them all. This one's, like, really crazy. Like, they kind of reined back the craziness a bit in Sengoku 2 and 3, but, like...
Yeah, that's why I don't like them as much.
Woo! Yeah, but this is, like, woo, baby!
Yeah, the first Sengoku is where it's at. So that was our 20 games. To recap, real fast: World Heroes Perfect. Real Bout Fatal Fury 2, Last Blade 2, Kizuna Encounter, Cyberlip, Spinmaster, Ninja Combat, Magician Lord, Shock Troopers, Mutation Nation, Puzzle Bobble 2, Money Puzzle Exchanger, not Idle Exchanger, Overtop or Over the Top if you're dumb like me, Big Tournament Golf, aka Neo Turf Masters, Aero Fighters 3, Zed Blade. You think that was supposed to be Z Blade and they're forcing us to say Zed?
Oh, I don't know.
Pulstar, Blazing Star, Cross Swords, and Sengoku. Those are the 20 games available on ACA Neo Geo that you can buy today. The series is pretty much over because there's really not that many Neo Geo games for them to pick from, so they pretty much done all they could possibly do. So
things that didn't need licenses or like whatever, yeah.
So they continue on with the regular arcade archives, but all the Neo Geo games up right now are probably all there's ever going to be. So have at it, have some fun. Hopefully you play a few of these. If you did try any of your recommendations, let us know about it at Fine Time Podcast on Twitter. Then you got promote your Twitch. We don't do that enough. Go ahead.
Yeah, I stream a variety of games over at twitch.tv/Lucentai. There's some curmudgeon-y things over there. We span the gamut. There's some art over there, but if you do want to see me play some random, wacky, action-y material. Get a dose of it over there. And yeah, these games are all fun, man. Like, it's really good revisiting all of these, and they're hold up, they're timeless.
Yeah, these really do hold up. They're definitely worth your $7.99. Totally. So, okay, see you next time, guys. Bye.
Later.